All right, so to talk about like what UI extensibility is, so what are UI extensions? Well, they're applications that are deployed and run on App Builder, and they use the UAX extensibility SDK to declare what Adobe services they extend and how. They're automatically loaded within its associated Adobe Service UI for all users within the IMS org that they're deployed in. So UI extensions can implement, custom UI, client-side scripts, and server-side scripts hosted as Adobe Runtime Action. So the various extension points that we have available are services like AEM Universal Editor and AEM Headless, which uh, consists of the AEM Content Fragments admin console and the Content Fragment editor. So I guess before I proceed, so does anyone not know what content fragments are?
Let's pretend I don't.
Okay, so content fragments is basically uh, how we store data. So so with headless, it's content that's separated from the UI. So when you create a content fragment, like you basically, specify uh, like just what your content is. So with Content Fragment Admin Console, this is how you manage content fragments,
Mm-hmm.
and the Content Fragment Editor is uh, how you can create and modify content fragments. And uh, I'll show you what those look like later
Perfect.
on.
Yeah.
So the first thing that is on the agenda is extension development. So this is like the first phase of the UI extension. How do you create one? So I'm going to shift my screen over to um, Visual Studio Code, and I'm praying that nothing goes wrong with the AIO CLI, which is, the tool that I'm going to be using
Mm-hmm.
for this. Okay, so can you see my Visual Studio Code editor?
Yes.
I'm seeing a pausing preview to save my resources. So is it showing up for you, or like, can you guys actually see, like the Visual Studio Code application?
I know. I see a welcome window that has start walkthroughs recent on it.
Okay,
Now
okay,
you're
yeah.
opening a terminal and you have,
Hmm.
yeah.
Right, okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new folder once
Mm-hmm.
this terminal starts loading. So I'm going to mkdirect this extension.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so I have, this new empty folder,
right.
and the first step is, um, so the prerequisite is to have the AIO CLI installed. So this is Adobe's uh, command line tool that's available to interact with App Builder. So the command to initialize an App Builder extension would be, hopefully that text isn't too small, but it would be AIO app init. So, then once you run this command, it will prompt you like a series of questions about what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we can select an outputter project or create a new one. So I'm going to deploy this to Andrii test one. And then this menu is, what template do you want to initialize your code with? So if we go to all extension points, we can see a list of templates that are available for different extension points.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with the template for aem-live console admin. So I just press space to select this. And then what it'll do is it will bootstrap, a basic code skeleton
Mm-hmm.
and install all the npm packages and all that. So let's not wait for that since it can take some time. But I want to direct your attention. So let me switch to Chrome.
Okay.
Okay, so I have the developer console open.
Right.
So it's developer.adobe.com/console/home. So this is where you'll be able to see your outputter projects. So the one that I connected to my repo was Andrii test one. And you'll notice that there are two workspaces, production and stage. So this is pretty important because the production workspace is the one where when you deploy it, it will it's basically the last step in the development phase to deploy your code to the production workspace.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we go back to Visual Studio Code, yeah, I'm sorry I'm like having to transition between all these. If we go back to Visual Studio Code, it's unfortunately still loading, but I do have like a bunch of UI extensions already floating around. So I can just show you the process.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a UI extension that we're finished with. And so now I want to deploy our code to app builder, and so we would use so we would first go to the production workspace, and then we would download this workspace's configuration, and then we would add it to the folder that our UI extension is located in. So I'm just going to rename this to config1.json. And so
wait. Where did you get that JSON file from?
I forgot that this was only sharing my Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
Yeah, I had opened Chrome.
Okay.
So here, let me
So
Yeah, share my entire window.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Um, so if you guys can now see my entire window, yeah, I'm completely sorry, just slipped my mind. So what I had done is, I had gone to the
Amy,
app builder project.
is there a chance that
Oh
you
yeah.
have multiple screens? Because I think we are
That.
seeing the screen that has Discord on it.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me try this one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it should show like my entire screen. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I can see
Okay,
Chrome.
so then now you guys can see Chrome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got too ahead of myself.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I have the app builder application open in developer console. And so I want to make sure that when I deploy to, this specific workspace. And to do that, I need to download that workspace's configuration,
Okay.
which we can find at the download all button.
Right.
And then we have to add that JSON file to our extension folder, and then we use the command AO app use, and then the name of the configuration file.
Mm-hmm.
And what this command will do is it will set like this specific workspace. So we just overwrite, and now it says it's that the CLI is configured for this workspace.
Okay.
And then the final step is AIO app deploy. So this is how you create an extension, and this is what Andrii is meant to show. Yeah, we're at 10:30, so I'm hoping I have enough time for this next part. Um, so after it finishes deploying, uh, it will give you like a set of links, and I think I have an older version of the AIO CLI because there should be like another message below this that has a preview URL that opens preview and extension manager for this extension.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's not happening. So I can just, show you directly. I'm gonna just add it to uh, the set of technical issues that we've had today. Okay, so like we've uh, finished the extension development topic. So, now I want to transition over to extension management. So,
Amy, before
mhm,
before you do this, is there a way to see what the extension is doing that we just deployed? Is there a way to
yes,
test the
there
extension?
is.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Um,
please let me know
yes,
if I'm jumping ahead in your demo script, but I think that is
that's actually a great question because I think it's, one of the most powerful features of what I'm about to show you.
okay, cool.
So yeah, so the first part is, yes, it's possible to see what the extension is doing in local development. So you can use the command AO app run, and that will, open it in localhost, and yeah, you'll be able to see it locally. Um, but like for an extension, if you want to actually, see how it works in like the Adobe service,
Mm-hmm.
then this is like what I'm about to show you. So um, for extension management, uh, once you deploy your extension to your project's production workspace, you will be able to manage it with Extension Manager. So um, I have the Experience Cloud homepage open, and I'm going to show you like how to find Extension Manager. So to launch Extension Manager, you go to Experience Manager, and there'll be an Extension Manager card.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you click launch, it will redirect you to Extension Manager's homepage. So what do I mean when I say manage? Well, before Extension Manager, once an extension was published to an IMS organization, it was automatically enabled in all of its AEM instances, and it wasn't possible to create different configurations for different instances.
Mm-hmm.
And it also wasn't possible to try out an unpublished extension. So with Extension Manager, you could do all of those. Um, so we have this homepage for Extension Manager, and it'll tell you, how many extensions are available to your organization, and how many first-party extensions that are developed by Adobe that are also um, available in your org.
Okay.
So I want to direct your attention to this services panel. So this will be a list of services that can be extended by extensions. So aem as a cloud service encompasses aem headless, which is specifically the aem content fragments console and editor extension points. So when we select aem, we can see a list of the IMS organization's programs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we select a program, we can see all of its instances that we can manage extensions for. So when we click each instance, we can see a list of all the available extensions, which will include those that are deployed in App Builder, as well as our first-party Adobe extensions that are automatically distributed through Extension Manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so if we look at this extension table, we can see the list of extension points that each extension has registered.
Right.
And so so you'll see that these are all aem-live console and aem-live editor. And so we can enable and disable extensions per instance.
Right.
So, this add click me button, we can enable it in our tab instance.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we look at our stage instance, we can see that the same extension is disabled.
Right.
So yeah, so like what does enable an extension do? Well, it means that, it'll be automatically coded into the service by the IMS org without needing any modifications to the URL. So if I open this instance, it'll bring up its homepage. So yeah, let's just wait for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have our instance, and so to see the content fragments console, we click content fragments, And this will open, yeah, uh, content fragments admin, which is where you can see a list of, all your content fragments. Okay, so it's finally loaded.
Okay.
So yeah, this is what the content fragments admin looks like. And if you look at this header menu up here, the extension has added a quick me button.
Mm-hmm.
So it just opens up a modal, but you can see that it just it's just automatically appears.
Right.
Um, and if I were to open our stage instance and uh, open the console, we would not see that click me button because it's disabled.
Got it.
So the other cool thing that we can do is we can also configure extensions per instance. So to do that, we have this gear icon in the actions column, and uh, it'll bring up a modal dialog where we can add uh, configuration variables.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just add this, and if we go to the staging instance, you can see that we can set a different set of
Right.
configuration variables and a different values.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now that I've enabled this, if I were to reload the content fragment console, and we see another button, show config,
Mm-hmm.
and this will print the configuration variables in the modal. So you can see that the extension can access those configuration variables and do whatever with them.
Okay, great. So, what parts of the context that the user is looking at can this extension access? Right. Adding a button that says "Hello World" is one thing, right? But ideally, we would
Mm-hmm.
do something to the content fragment that has been selected, right? So, how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that because uh, so like our extensions can also act on the content fragment editor as well. So like this is not a good example, but yeah, this service is extensible as well. For like modifying content fragments, that's also possible.
Mm-hmm.
When you select a content fragment, it'll open the action menu,
Right.
and extensions can modify this as well.
Got it.
But I'm also really glad you asked that question because we actually have interactive demos available with sample extensions
Mm-hmm.
that uh, that you can try to see what different extensions can do, what they can extend, um, and like it's pretty cool, I think. So, for example, this one demonstrates how an extension can add a custom button to the header menu in aem content fragments console. So, it'll open the preview,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can preview it in the instance you select. And, then there will be like an interactive guide to show you what to do. So, uh, yeah, so then it'll just redirect you to, it'll show you, what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not loading at the moment, but if you try it later on, I'm sure, yeah, it'll work then. I'm guessing this stream is just really bad luck. Okay, so you asked earlier, okay, so how can we try out extensions?
Right.
So that's what I want to get into next. So that's going to be the preview feature for Extension Manager. So once you deploy your app to the production workspace, it will automatically show up an Extension Manager as a draft. So like there's no need to, submit it for publishing. It'll just automatically appear on Extension Manager, which
Mm-hmm.
is good. So to try the extension in the specific environment that we selected, we have this arrow icon, and it'll appear when the extension is disabled. If you click the arrow icon, it will open the extension point URL, and then it will modify the URL to specifically say, okay, like load this extension, and then this is how you'll be able to try the extension for this
Right.
extension point in this environment.
Okay.
So this link icon is actually a shareable preview link, and when you click it, it will copy it to the clipboard, and then you can share it in Slack, and then when someone else opens it, it will take you to this preview page where you can select a program and environment to preview the extension in, and then it will load this extension temporarily in this instance.
Okay, very cool.
So, now I want to talk about first-party extensions. So, like we can see this entire section that has the developed by Adobe label. So, as I said before, these are automatically available and listed in the extension manager without needing any action. There are some that you need to request access to in order to enable them, but all of these are available to try out. So, even without access to this, we can still try this extension and see what it does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our stage instance is hibernated, so I think, I try to open this in our dev instance. It'll
makes sense.
appear. Yeah. And in our homepage, we also have a section for our available first-party extensions, and this is where you can access the preview for all of these. Besides that extension table. So one exciting extension we have available is generate variations. So this allows you to use AI to create content variations. So this is a extension for Universal Editor, and so we can type in a site URL that we want to open Universal Editor in, and the Generate Variation extension will add a button to this header menu, and it will open the Generate Variations surface that then now you can create high quality content. And yeah, it's 10:45. That's all I have. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to uh, present all that within time.
Yeah, perfect.
So, now we can open up for questions.
Great. So let me start with the questions. Um, who has access to Adobe? No, what is it called? Extension Manager for Adobe Experience Manager sites as a cloud service. Who can get access to this?
So, Extension Manager is already available in Adobe Experience Cloud.
Okay.
So, if you have AEM as a cloud service, then uh, you can use Extension Manager. That's actually something I forgot to mention. But yes, Extension Manager is just for AEM as a cloud service.
Right.
If you have AEM on-prem, you won't be able to use Extension Manager.
Right. And what about AEM managed services?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I think if you have AEM as a CS, then yes. Managed services, I'm not so sure about.
Okay. Yeah. Well, another reason to move to the cloud.
Yeah, I would say we
Yes.
totally support the cloud service and about the managed service. So we can understand that as a use case. So right now it's on the IAM cloud service.
Ira, that was extremely hard to understand. But if
Yeah,
you type it into the chat, then I will find somebody to read it for you. I'm not going to read it myself because it's going to mess up the recording, but I think Dominik is eager and anxious to read whatever you have to type. He's already unmuting himself.
Olena said only AEM as a CS currently.
Right, yeah.
So I'm guessing the answer to managed services is no.
Yeah, I got that.
Managed services is effectively managed on-prem, right? It's still
Right.
6.5 with service packs.
Yes.
So I would think that it's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Is this deploying to my cloud instance, or is it deploying somewhere else and it's kind of working in tandem with the content that's on my cloud service? Like, is it deploying to IO runtime? It almost seemed like.
Yeah.
Yes. It uses a builder as an technology stack mostly.
And then the content just lives in my cloud service instance.
Correct. So as part of the headless story, your content is something that is managed by AEM, and this is kind of main responsibility of AEM in that case.
So if I'm developing locally, how do I, like, if I have my content fragments on my local cloud service SDK that I'm running as a jar, how do I sort of run these extensions locally to see how this all works together with any other services that I'm working with?
So that could be considered like two separate processes. When you're developing extensions, you can use any AEM instance on cloud to develop your extension. And if you're developing the AEM itself, then you can deploy it locally somehow.
But I can't test my extensions locally.
No, you can't. You can test your extensions locally, but with the cloud instance. But you can't fully isolate the development of extensions.
Okay.
And maybe one important thing to note that we're doing out-of-process extensibility. So technically, your extension is a separate application that could be deployed separately, developed separately, so you can open it, see how it works even without AEM in some cases.
I have a question. So yeah, I saw you guys showed the content fragment customization, and also the slides you were mentioning about the AEM universal editor. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to know where the universal editor comes into play. Is it the sites UI, or this is something totally different? I mean the universal editor.
Well, it's probably question to Universal Editor how they position themselves, but as I understand, it's kind of a separate hat in headless world.
Okay. So my next question would be, what are the most exciting things you've seen built using Extension Manager so far?
Oh, yeah, a lot of things. We've been actively working with customers to develop extensions, and the ones that we see a broader use case for, we actually can turn them into first-party extensions and release them to like a broader audience.
Right.
So I showed you the generate variations extension, which we've had a ton of interest in, and then Arena also recently developed an Adobe target extension, I believe, for a customer
Mm-hmm.
that we ended up releasing as the first party extension. So that's been super exciting. I see she's typing something to the chat. So
Is there a store to see like what's been built so far?
so for your IMS work, everything in AppBuilder that is registered to the supported extension points and deployed to the production workspace will automatically appear in Extension Manager. If you want to see like publicly available extensions,
Yeah, that's
actually.
Oh, perfect. This is great.
Oh, yeah. So we do have a repository with open source extension code that you can try to deploy yourself. But actually, it's also as a developer, it's possible to publish your extension onto Adobe Exchange. So, like with Adobe Exchange, yeah, you can create a new listing. You can even monetize your extension and set, like a one-time price or a subscription price. And, then there'll be a public listing on Adobe Exchange that, other customers and other IMS works can then install your extension.
Would I just go to the Experience Manager?
You would go to Adobe Exchange and then filter for AEM.
Yeah, I see Experience Manager, so I'm guessing that's...
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very cool.
Just to add to this question, so the work itself from technical point of view might not be very excited. For example, we may just add a button, but for customer business, that button could be critical, and they can do something like, for example, publishing, custom publishing process, something like that. And so without extensibility, there will be just a huge gap in the product. So we kind of leaving some space and slots for where we custom come from. functionality.
Yeah, like Andrii said, UI Extensibility and Extension Manager really shorten the feature lifecycle by a lot, because otherwise it's not feasible to like include every customization as an official feature in AEM, because every custom use cases are quite diverse. So with this, customers can create their own customizations that are adapted to their use case, and so hence we've been seeing a lot of excitement from customers.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question before the top of the hour.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if we have multiple extensions enabled, will there be any performance issues? I mean, we have one customization to override the single select drop-down options. The users, I mean, we are still in like dev environment testing. So users were seeing there are some performance, like the content fragment itself is loading a little bit slowly when compared to without the extension. So, I mean, is there a way to check the logs or anything for the engineers to see what's going on with the performance of this extension? But also, when we have multiple custom extensions enabled, what would be the performance?
So I believe extensions are loaded client side. So you can just open developer tools in console to see what extensions are being loaded. So it shouldn't affect, well, it shouldn't affect the performance of the page, because I believe like the extensions, like when they're loaded client side, it's like the page loads first, and it 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 could be just a matter of the extensions load last, so like it'll take a while to see them, but the actual page performance itself I don't think is affected. Andrii, so what do you think?
Yeah, that is correct. So we are specifically designing the framework to not block the main application. It is loaded asynchronously a little bit later. So it is possible that extensions appear a little bit later and cause the re-render operation in your browser, but it doesn't block the main application in any way. And after they load it, they all live in the browser, and the communication with the main app is extremely fast. And regarding the question how to check the extension, I believe there is, you can just open the Chrome dev console, and I think on production instance, you need to specify the parameter you just sent in the chat, and it should give a little bit more debug information. But you can go with the regular Chrome tools as well.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. So we can have multiple extensions that should not cause any performance issues. For example, like should we keep one extension for customizing both admin console and the editor, or is it okay to keep it like two different extensions?
Good question. So it's up to you. Technically, you can install one extension in multiple products, I believe. But if you see the need to put functionality in one extension, that's it, if it makes sense for you.
Okay.
Yeah, some extension points have like the same UI component. So for example, that header menu is present in both aem-cf console and aem-cf admin. So if you were to register both the extension points, then that extension, would modify the header menu in both. If it's like a different functionality that those two extension points don't have in common, then yeah, you would have two different extensions. But I just want to make you aware that it is possible for an extension to have multiple extension points.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
And just want to highlight one more thing. So we have few links in the chat panel. We can extend in any way, and we actually have a massive update almost there. So please check it out.
Sounds good. Okay. So, well, with that, I think let's wrap it up. Thanks everyone for joining today. In particular, Amy, Andrii, and Olena, thank you for your presentation. Despite all the headwind that we've got from Discord and macOS and corporate network, it's great to see more extensibility options for developers. Fantastic to see how this can actually work technically, right? Without hooking into the OSGI runtime, without going into the Java JVM code, but using Adobe runtime for this, and I'm really excited to see what is coming up from your team, and most importantly from our users and our developers building on top of this.